Okay, in this video, this is Mike Nielsen, TC Electronics 1210, the spatial expander, chorus, and flanger. When Mike told me that this has an issue that it's not chorusing. I'll show you in a second how it can like sound. It's a weak chorus and then well distorted. So what happens here is the good side here, the unit is turning on. So there's no any issues with the unit. So if you can see here, like if we flip it like this way, you can tell that the bypass works and then speed works. So the way how it works here is like you have bypass intensity. So think about it as like the first channel, and then this is like the second channel. I might be wrong, but there is a way that seeing this as like the chorus part and then the expander portions of it, right? And then it does like the stereo input, and then separate the inputs, and then the cross off, and then sweep synchronize the sweep, right? So if we look at the circuit here, over here on the side, you might be able to see it briefly on the video that there is a LEDs. So those are like the LEDs to show, to indicate that how the speed of this, the chorusing, right? The speed, width, and delay. So it's like a time-based effects, pretty much, right? Reacts or impacts the signals that coming in, right? So there are a couple tests that I'm gonna run. So what I've done is already cleaning it out using a deoxit, right? Very first thing, because like this, the fader, right? For the F5, for all the potentiometers, because they're kind of like old, right? And also the mechanical switches. Now I don't want to bring up the interesting thing here, like there are like two cards over here, which is I can show you in a second, like how it looks like for these two cards. But these two cards are responsible for the chorus circuits. I believe there is like 3101 over here. So there's like a each of the cards has like the chorusing classic brigade bucket delay BBD, right? Or using like MN3007 or 3101. So my idea here to debug here, I get like the scope as well over here, and then I get the voltmeter to check the power supply. So there's like adjustable variable power supply over here, and then also there is a minus 15 volts here, right? And then going into the power supply section, the filtering sections, and going to all over the circuits, right? So mainly these are like analog circuits. There's no any, per what I understand, there's no any digital circuits. There is like some phase lock loop, right? The PLL. There's some comparators. There's some inverters too. I've seen a lot, right? Couple op amps that I've seen that I look at the data sheet. What are those? Okay. So I think we found the culprit over here. 317 was busted. So that probably the main issue, because we don't see like any particular voltages that we're looking for. Minus 15 is good. They're all right. So that will be the start. So replacing 317 would be one way to go for sure. Let's replace that. When I receive it, it was a little bit bent over here, so I gotta straighten it up using the vise. So pretty cool. Now Mike mentioned to me that the problem was the chorus is not lush anymore, or even overdriven. So I had a chance to take everything apart. I figured out there was an issue with the voltages. So the voltages was quite finicky over on the site, and I got a chance to figure it out with the service manual. Look at this, TC1210 service manual, and then in the service manual it tells you like the logic and then the whole block diagram, how this everything works. Now here's the important part over here is the delay card. So 1210 does have like two delay cards, like number 1 and number 2. So it's like left and right. And then I'll go into like a simplified block diagram later on, right? This is like one of very important thing that, you know, how the infamous 1210 work, right? So chip design, I mean, they're particularly, it's particularly analog, so there's no any like crazy DSPs or any timing. So that's the reason I have like an oscilloscope over here to check everything. Is there any like funky or not, you know, or any like very particular digital signals? So none of those like happening here. The interesting part here on the delay card here is I found out a notes that so there are an older TC1210 seems some tantalum capacitors turning into perfect short circuits, right? Well, the unit is powered on, so there's nothing wrong with it. But again, I found that in this particular card, there is one short circuit. I think like the card number 1. Okay, so this is a card. This card, TC doesn't make anymore. But as you can see here, this card is very, very delicate. You got like an op amps, another op amps here. Now, as you can see over here, you know, the TL74CN, this prone to, you know, failures or noise, right? So if you do have like 1210, some of the guys recommended to upgrade it into 2074. It's a better op amps. These caps are very great, WIMA MKS4, so we use it in the amps, right? Calibration spot, so I'm not gonna change that. So it seemed like with this, right? So some of like, I think like one of this, it's gonna fail, right? All this particular capacitors. Alco mainly at some point is gonna fail, right? So so that's one, right? So we plan to replace that after we already replaced the voltage regulator. There was an issue with the voltage regulator, right? The adjustable LM317T, and also with checking the diodes outputs. The issue was actually pretty interesting because the transformer over here gets really, really hot. So I was wondering like, oh, maybe there was an issue with the diodes over here. So turns out it wasn't that issue. The issue was actually the tantalum capacitors, C40, C42, and C44. 3 on each sub PCB. So gotta find out where on this that's saying like C40, C40, C42, and C44. So I think like that, it's mainly gonna solve my problem. If it does still have some noise or overdriven channel, then what happens here, TC Electronics, the service manual recommended to swap the boards and see if it solved the problem. That's another thing. Now, I do not like this last part is the PPM, the pulse timing. If it's hanging, then usually what happens is stuck the input meter, right? So it has like a very sensitive LM339. So that's another the things that I wish like I don't need to touch it, because I hope that 339 it's just fine. So I think like let's get on to it. Right now we're gonna check the voltages. So on this side you'll see here that there is a LM317T, which is LM317T, yes, T as a tango, and that should be the voltage regulator, the variable. and then there's also 7915, which is for the negative voltages. So let's check. So here you get 13.79 or close to 14 volts, and then the other one you get 15 volts, and then the last one you get 24 volts. Okay, negative voltages. Okay, that's going to the ground, that's cool. This is minus 25 volts, and that's coming in, and then you should get like minus 15 volts out, which that is correct. And we get 1,000 micro for 35 volts, and then 220 for the 50 volts. So that should filter the power supply when it comes from the AC. So there's like a diodes, 4 rectifying diodes over here, so that's converting for the AC. So you get like 25 volts, and then the other side you get also constant 25 or 24.68 if you want to say it. This side too, minus 25, just that's constant, that's good. So I know for sure the power supply sections here are good. So if I check LM 324 for example, so let's see, need to look at the data sheet of 324 which pin that is, but should come with the voltages coming in, because if we look at the modes and everything, they are working. So as you can see here, they are working just fine. So we know for sure the switching logic there, they have no issue with it, right? So I know in chorus and flanger you do have like the link mode, you have the input mode too, right? For example, like the sweep, the cross, maybe I flip it. I got flipped because this unit is upside down. So okay, I did already fix it. Already changed the tantalum capacitors. So this is the part, right? 10 micro, 35 volts. The only thing is, luckily in this particular unit, that the C42, I don't know whether you can see it. C42, C44, and C40. Only need to change the C40 because this is the only tantalum. 10 micro 16 volt become like 10 micro 35 volts. So these are already like very good, like these two, 42 and 44. They are like 10 micro 50 volts. So yeah, this is based on the parts list from the 1210. So okay, we are gonna test out the mic 1210. The cap's already been replaced. So as I promised, there is a simplified block diagram over here, right? As you can see. So mode 1 is chorus 1 going to delay, and then you control the intensity, multiplexing it, additions to it, going to the output. Mode 2 is chorus and then cascading with the intensity. So got the denumerator here. So as you can see, and then going to the output, mode 3, or you got a delay, additions to the feedback, going to the intensity, and then additions to that, multiply that as the signals going to the output. A flanging 1, 2 as well. That was flanging 1, and then this is like a flanging 2. So this is very important notes to understand like what modes it is. That happens on the TCE, right? And we did replace it with this one. Luckily I got spares from the Repairing H3000 using like 10 micro 35 volts. So already been replaced for those two cards. So sounds great. Okay. If I want to bypass. So bypass, giving it on. This is flanging mode, chorusing mode. Start to feel it. Same over here, so you get that. Very lush, very nice. And it will be really nice if we do have like the micro pitch. Chorus 2 mode. Very nice. So I think pretty much we're done. We did the comparisons between mine and mic 1210. The signal chain here is from the MP1 going to mic's 1210 and then going to mine. Then after that it's going to stereo cap M plus or from the two notes, and then going to straight to the audio interface to the universal audio and then recorded it. So we can tell that they're pretty much the same. It's working right now. It gets the chorus, it gets the flanger, it's got like the stereo inputs, separate inputs, everything's working. The four modes are working. So I'm quite happy with the result. how it performs right now, already burned in. I'm sure that Mike is going to be happy too receiving this. I'm excited that the 1210 it's already restored, and then get ready for him to receive it. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope the videos give you some insights how I'm going to overlay the debug, the repairs, and so on. Stay tuned for the next video, and again, thank you for watching.